Alright, so I wanted to watch this video here. Yu-Gi-Oh! From Paul, Team APS, the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is digital. The future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is digital. I assume this video is going to be a whole bunch of glazing of how good Master Duel is. And the truth is, I completely agree. I think Master Duel is the most fun way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe it's just like an old man thing, but the convenience of being online, this is ignoring the format, ignoring the card pool. I just like Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. So, being able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! From the comfort of my home. Last night, I just took out my tablet, jammed some while sitting on the couch, because Noah started crying, and Noah had to go and feed him. So, just any convenient moment, take out your phone, take out any electronic device that can run the game, play Master Duel. When I hang out with my friends, we sit on Discord, we watch each other stream, we do some rank together. I cannot tell you how fucking, good it is to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever you want on the digital side. And for anyone who watched the World Championship stream should probably understand how hype it is. It's just not interesting watching the TCG. It's interesting, but you compare it to the hype that the Master Duel Finals was. I don't know if it was because of the lore and the storyline of Team 7 versus freaking Shape Hunters again. Snipe Shapers. Sorry, Josh. Having a rematch, I don't know if that's what made it so hype. But having all of those different duels on screen at the same time, following the captain's duel, and then seeing the scores go from like 0-1 to 2-0 to 2-1 and stuff. It was just so much more cooler, aesthetically pleasing. It was better. It was just the best. It's so much more interesting than TCG. I really do believe that. And then again, it's nothing to do with even like the card pool or the format, because in some ways, gameplay-wise, TCG is actually better than Master Duel. But it's about the convenience and the digital side of things that I really appreciate and I enjoy the most. It could just be that I'm like an isolated loser who doesn't have friends. But the thought of like having to like leave the house and go to a locals and play in person, I don't know, man. Big events, I get kind of excited for sure. YCSs, absolutely. But I just enjoy Master Duel better. What did you call us, Quantal? Oh, the Shape Hunters, the Snipe Snatchers. That's your team name, right?
Hey guys, Paul here. So I think that the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game is digital. I know.
Well, Deck, you playing at locals? That's the thing. I haven't been to locals in months. Since we moved into the new house, I haven't taken a deck to locals. Mostly because it's kind of far. Attendance isn't like through the roof. The pricing is and this is what upsets me the most about locals. It's what do you get for like loose packs? Like, really, I'm gonna spend like £8 entry to get some loose packs? And no disrespect to my locals, they really are trying their best. But ultimately, it's it's hard to get excited about, getting loose packs. You know what I mean? The money as well, you gotta spend hundreds on Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, man. And I don't want to get into this debate of well, hobbies should cost money, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually kind of cheap for hobby-wise and stuff like that. Buying a Fuwalos playset to what? Compete at a locals or regional? Come on, dude. Hell no, I'm gonna do that. Spend all of that money for one YCS in the season because the EU gets 3. You know what I mean? I can't justify that. I can't justify that. You compare that to Master Duel, which is so fucking cheap, dude. Obviously, I've spent $12,000 on it. That's actually my price since it's released, by the way. But that's different because I'm a content creator. I've played free-to-play accounts. I've done those challenges. It's so cheap. It's so free if you are careful with your gems and you know what you're doing. Master Duel is just so good. It's just so good. Anyway, that was a huge... We're 8 seconds into the video and we've ranted about the TCG for so long here. But it's night and day, man. I just cannot tell you how good Master Duel is. And all Master Duel needs to do is keep iterating upon its focus with more features, more game modes. And I think it's going to be just the best fucking thing ever. Chewy Jesus, thank you for the Prime, and we'll see him. Thank you so much for the 5 gifties. Pollo to you. A few months ago, I mentioned an MBT stream on my local OTS. Got a memo claiming that in the next 2 years, the game will be going all digital, allegedly. What the hell? Where'd you get leaked? Where's that from? That ain't happening. That ain't happening. TCG is too profitable. That's just not true.
brave proclamation to make, right? Nobody's ever said this about anything before. And I totally realize that this isn't like a super hot take or anything, but there are reasons why I feel like it's the case, why I sort of see evidence of things moving in that direction. And to be clear, I'm not saying that like you need to quit the paper TCG right now and sell all your cards.
What is it with all these content creators telling you to quit the game? All of these YouTubers in their ivory tower looking down upon the peasantry that is the virtual world budget players, telling them to quit the game. What is their problem?
And it's going to die tomorrow. This isn't like, anything like that. These are just some reasons why it seems like Master Duel is perhaps going to be a better avenue for playing Yu-Gi-Oh going forward. And also, we will talk about the TCG at the end. So I'm not, it's not like a quit everything now thing. All right, so the reason why this came to mind for me was because of the Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship that happened a few weeks ago now. They obviously...
How old is this video? 11 days ago? Bro, Worlds feels like it was 3 months ago or something.
had, paper TCG, Duel Links, and Master Duel. So 3 different championships, technically 4 if you counted Rush Duel, digital Rush Duel at least. They don't have physical Rush Duel over here yet. Come on, Konami. Yeah, so there seemed to be the most buzz and excitement around, surprisingly, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel finals for a bunch of different reasons. It's a 3v3 teams format, which I think is really cool. It allows 3...
Format of Master Duel is so much more interesting at a competitive level as well. Shared card pool 3v3 compared to just like everyone playing the same copy-paste deck lists in TCG. So much more interesting.
Players to kind of work together to strategize. They had to pick different decks, so you didn't just see the same decks playing mirror matches all day long.
Bro, you got to see Samurai FTK at the World Championship. Like, how cool is that? I mean, it's not cool to play against, I'm sure. But as a viewer and a spectator, that's so freaking cool.
In a competitive event, because that can be really tiring. And it's also easier to kind of get invested in a
He had the 20% win rate.
team instead
Sorry,
of
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
And I think for the players involved, that whole teamwork and camaraderie thing probably helps to decrease salt levels when you lose and things like that. But the finals was Team 7 versus Team Snipe Hunters, and these were actually the
Snipe Hunters? I thought it was Shape Hunters.
same 2
I thought it was Snipe Snatchers.
teams that came to the finals last year. Last year, Team Snipe Hunters won. This year, Team 7 won. So presumably, next year at Master Duel Worlds, they might just make it to the finals again and be able to settle this in sort of a like best of 3
Imagine we get like an actual best of 3 over 3 years. That would be actually crazy.
format.
Quanto, go do some Duelist Cups. Come on. Quit TCG.
It helps, of course, that the top 2 teams have a lot of notoriously very talented players, like Jesse Cotton, like Joshua Schmidt. I think that there's just this really kind of...
Wow. That's it? Those are the only talented players you could think of? I think they're forgetting who carried this year. I think they're forgetting the highest percent win rate, second highest technically, in the entire World Championship tournament. I think they forgot the Big Bird himself.
Kind of kinetic rivalry
67% win rate
space right now.
The carry.
Where, you've kind of got the
He had a
teams,
high... Josh didn't even go 50% by the way.
It's
Emery,
really cool. And I
the
noticed a
GOAT.
lot of people on stream and in like Twitter and Discord spaces, Reddit spaces, we're talking a lot
If
more
only
about
Josh
like, the
practiced
Master Duel
coin
part of
flips.
it. But that's all kind of on the like hyper competitive end. I think that there's still a lot more to talk about as to why Master Duel is kind of the more accessible and perhaps like just more gratifying or rewarding game to play.
How do you get your friends to like play Yu-Gi-Oh? Okay, you're gonna come to locals in this like probably what is most likely some kind of like rundown shack or basement. I need you to buy like this like starter deck, or I'm gonna give you a bunch of like cards that I have, all of which are like absolute essays and walls of text, and we're gonna sit down at this table in somewhere that kind of smells a little bit funky, and we're going to duel with a modern competitive constructed deck. Or how about just go on Steam and download Master Duel for free and play through the tutorial? Right? Like what is the most practical approach to learning Yu-Gi-Oh in this day and age? You know what I'm saying? Not everywhere in the UK? Oh, yes it is. Everywhere in the UK is a stinky basement.
So,
our island is one giant stinky basement. Edo Pro? Sure, you could tell your friend, let's hop on Dueling Book. But is that how you want to introduce your friend to Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, you log into Dueling Book and the first thing you see is the fucking, start screen. And it's just like you scroll down and the first message you see is Based Claw. Fool, I'm the kind of G the little homies want to be, like on my knees in the night saying prayers in the street light. Yo, kind of based actually. Like, that's not really where you should start learning to play Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
let's be clear here. The TCG is always going to be the core of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is not a video where I'm trying to say, all right, sell all your TCG cards, abandon ship, it's all going downhill. No, it's not that.
I am. Do it. Do it. Quit the TCG. Play Master Duel. Quit. Play. Forgo paper. Save the environment. Play Master Duel.
I think that
It's a form of climate activism. Trust me.
TCG physically will be here for a long time to come. However, Master Duel has some very distinct benefits and a lot more.
Play Master Duel after they hit 10 pie. It's funny because the format in Master Duel right now is probably so miserable, but it's just still so much more enjoyable than TCG for me personally.
More axes than you might imagine. So the first one to me is the general accessibility. Master Duel is a free-to-play game. Now I know it sounds like, you know, that's like an advertisement. I'm serious. You get on Steam or the.
Paul is unironically not sponsored by Konami, just if anyone wants to like use the old typical employee take Kek W. It's actually not. It's actually not.
Switch or the PlayStation Store or whatever, and you can play Master Duel on literally anything that's got a screen at this point. I mean, I feel like you'll be able to like play this game on a toaster in a few years, and that's important because there are.
If you have a digital fridge, you can play Master Duel on. I don't know why people have those like fancy digital fridges and washing machines or microwaves, but you can like bootleg the YP, the APK file or whatever it's called, onto your fridge, and you can play a Master Duel while your Samsung refrigerator counts how many eggs you have remaining for the week. That's possible.
A lot of people, like fans that I have met and
Wicked
spoken to
fridge.
who don't have a card shop like close to them. For some people, they have to drive like 30 minutes or an hour or like take some commute 2 hours to go to a card shop just to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
And that's
man.
not like Yu-Gi-Oh!
I gotta drive 20 minutes or take like an hour 15 of like public transport to get to my locals after I've spent hundreds of dollars on my like TCG deck. Like, I did it for years and it was fine, but now that Master Duel is a thing, I just don't have that desire. You know what I'm saying?
Yu-Gi-Oh's fault. That's just, you know, sometimes how it is. If you live in a place that's a little bit more remote, then going to a card shop is just going to be difficult.
Just to go 0-8 with BA, like,
And so for
I can do that in the comfort of my home with Ranked.
some people playing Master Duel, or even before Master Duel, EDO Pro, Dueling Book, YGO, Omega,
Huh?
whatever.
Sorry, it's like, it's still like a nervous reaction. It's still like this sort of, what's the word? Tick that I've subconsciously developed for the last, like, 4 years. Where anyone who says, like, Dueling Book, while I'm on stream, I sort of have, like, a heart attack moment where I'm like, fuck. And then I realize, oh, shit, no, we're good. We're not sponsored anymore. It's all good. It's all good.
Whatever, like all of those, there are some people who they only really played Yu-Gi-Oh! Digitally because it was all they could do. And so for them, something like Master Duel or any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Digital game is just how they consume their Yu-Gi-Oh! Regularly. But in addition to that, there's also kind of a financial benefit to Master Duel, right? So we all know that Yu-Gi-Oh! The physical card game is really expensive, or at least it certainly can be if you want to
No, it's not. Just don't be poor.
play like the best cards and the best decks. You're gonna have to fork over some pennies. And so like right now, for instance, there's that Molcharmy card. It's like already got pre-sales for, you know, $150, $180, $200. It won't stay that high, but still it's
Yeah, I
gonna
don't know about 200, but it is up there. It is up there. Now, you don't need Molcharmy to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! But boy, does it certainly help. Boy, is it certainly optimal. A single copy of Molcharmy is probably like a fully constructed Pokemon deck. And so, a card game enthusiast sees that, and they sort of like, well, I kind of like Pokemon, I kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh!, I kind of like One Piece. Which is the one that's going to be the deciding factor for me? Which one should I play? Well, if you have a 80% interest in Yu-Gi-Oh! And you have a 70% chance interest in Pokemon, even though you kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit more gameplay-wise, I mean, if I'm on a budget, I know which game I'm picking. That's just math. That's the reality that people don't see. It's like, the only people who are picking Yu-Gi-Oh! Over those other games are the people who really like Yu-Gi-Oh! More than other games as card game enjoyers. Like, the people who like Yu-Gi-Oh! I think is a niche audience that really like Yu-Gi-Oh! I say niche, but it's still like a large amount of people. But as a general enjoyer of card games, I don't see what you're getting with Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of the raw gameplay that is so much significantly better than the other card games. And even that's a subjective thing. I don't play the other card games because I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just so much better. But I'm not gonna do the TCG in that regard, right?
Going to be one of those cards where everybody wants to have a playset and you got to have it to compete. So, you know, that might be $300 or $400 that you're going to have to pay in order to just kind of like get in the door at a regional or YCS event. Now, I'm not saying, you know, that those cards are absolutely necessary, but players do feel like they are, and so they have price tags. But even before that.
Oh yeah, why bother entering a YCS for $45 if you can enter a Challenger Cup? Which, you know, statistically, unless you like win, you get better prizes for the amount of money spent because it's free. Just enter like it's night and day the difference between Masdo and TCG, you know.
That card is going to be, you know, your Pot of Prosperity, your Triple Tactics Talent, all these different cards that, you know, Ash Blossom. You know, throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history, these have just been cards that they're secret rare, they cost a lot.
There's one less source of those now. What, Challenger Cups?
With Master Duel,
I'm not doing Challenger Cups anymore, but I don't think the number of Challenger Cups has gone down. I think they just have other creators do one extra tournament each or something. I don't know like the semantics of how they're doing it, but me not doing Challenger Cups anymore doesn't mean there's less Challenger Cups overall. It's just not from me. They have gone down. Have they actually? Josh is doing more. Josh is only doing 3, I think, or 4 for the entire season. Decade host them. Yeah, join a Decade Meta Weekly.
the highest a card can be is a UR, and you can always just craft it for 30 UR material. I get it, you know, UR material is kind of...
If there's less now, then it's probably, I guess, like... I don't think that's a me problem, though. I don't think it's because, like, I stopped doing Challenger Cups, therefore there's less Challenger Cups. I think there was going to be less Challenger Cups anyway, budget-wise, I assume is why. But anyway, all the more reason to join them, you know? I think less is more anyway. I think there was way too many Challenger Cups before. They just didn't feel special. Like, what? There was, like, almost, like, 4 per week or something? Like, that's a bit much, you know? I feel like... You know, 1 per week, 1 every like 2 weeks makes it special. It's something you look forward to. It's something you plan towards. It's a little bit more prestigious when you enter, when you do well at them, you know? I think like when you absolutely flood the player base with like infinite tournaments, maybe that's like a good idea at the start. But it just feels like less is more type of thing.
Kind of hard to come by, but like you can just sort of get it, right? Like if you want to pay, you can get gems, open some packs, get like UR cards.
But just talking a little bit, just gotta glaze over the Macedo's what's the word? Monetization. Like as long as you aren't like legitimately building like 20 like decks per season or something, Macedo is like very generous. And even if you're bro, if you spend like $10 per week on entry to locals and let's say a drink, and then, like, God, I don't know, maybe like $5 more for like public transport, plus all of your cards. You're spending hundreds per week. You put all of that money that you would have spent on TCG into Macedo, you're building like basically every deck in the game. If you want to play Macedo for free, as long as you do your weekly quests, as long as you try and fill out the gems from the events, which by the way are very generous and pretty easy to complete now because the loner decks are actually really good. You know, you jam a couple games for a few hours per week, you get your 3,000 gems per month or however often you're doing it. You can build the best deck, you can get all the staples, and you can play competitive Macedo completely for free if you reasonably keep up with the game.
Cards and just break them down. You can open packs on Master Duel, but at the end of the day,
the cost of Macedo is the mental fortitude to deal with Maxi and Tenpai.
All URs in Master Duel are 30 points. And once you craft the card, you kind of just got it.
Yeah, dude. What's the price of Fua Loss? Well, how much is Fua Loss going for these days, by the way? Has anyone bought Fua Loss? 140? Wrong. 140? Wrong. This guy got it. 130? Wrong. This guy's got it. That's how much Fua Loss is. 30 ultra rare dust. 30 UR crafting points. That's it. That's what it's going to cost. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. All these people out here spend 250 Australian dollars on one Fua. 30 dust, baby. 30 dust. That's it.
Right, it's there. And
when
that
it comes,
makes deck building,
30 dust.
In my opinion, a little bit quicker and less stressful. Certainly less expensive. So, you know, for me, now that I've crafted my Ash Blossoms, I just have them. They don't have to worry about like their price or value.
And that's the thing. Most of you here who've played Macedo continuously since release, very likely all of you have Maxi and Ash Blossom. Guess what? Never ever have to craft them ever again. Every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck that has ever released in Macedo from here till Kingdom Come is, it's in your deck, most likely, because it's a good card. Never have to craft it again. Never have to craft it again. If you do craft a deck that you really like and they end up hitting the cards, you get the points back. Did you craft tier limit? You get your points back for Pearl of Rhino. Build a new deck with all of the refunds you get very slowly. Tri-Brigade Zoo was meta at the start of the game. Most likely some of you here probably don't have that anymore. Disenchant all of it, get your dust, put it towards your next deck, coupled with all of your logins, you're good to go from format to format. You can play completely for free.
Are you really going down? It's just is what it is. You've got the cards, and I think that accessibility is a big boon in Master Duel's favor. Another thing too is that with Master Duel, you can kind of just get in and get out, right? Like even if your locals is close by, sometimes going to play physical Yu-Gi-Oh can be kind of tough, and like you have to like sleeve up your cards and go to locals and kind of wait between rounds. But with Master Duel, you just hop on the ladder, and just get to playing. Like play, you win, queue up for the next one. You lose, queue up for the next one. It's one of my favorite parts about the game, and I think that more than anything, Master Duel is just nice to look at, like on a stream, right? When I was watching the World Championship Finals, I was like, man.
It's night and day. Like, I was at Worlds watching it, and just seeing, like, cards on a table versus, like, an animated 3 versus 3 overlay of a digital card game. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just performatively, and as a viewer, as a spectator, it's just so much better.
Man, Master Duel just looks really good. The way that it kind of has the cool monster effects in their summon, it visualizes the chain, and this is something sort of beyond aesthetics. It's just the raw core game. And that is something that I think goes like seriously overlooked in these digital simulators. When you play physical Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to deal with judges. You have to deal with slow play. You have to deal with like kind of the threat of cheating or stacking or all these different things. And I think that my favorite part about Master Duel is that it's clean, right? You can't accidentally cheat. You can't accidentally sort of, have the game state be misrepresented.
Well, I mean, you could enter a Challenger Cup with Spooky Dogwood and run the timer down. But other than that, it's not. You can't cheat. Yeah, you're right. You can't. The game might bug sometimes, where, your opponent doesn't know why certain cards aren't activatable because you activated a thing with, like, a third condition. But other than that, game's fine.
Or irreparable.
I wonder who would do that. Yeah, who would do that?
Will not allow that to happen. There's a log of everything that goes on in the duel whenever cards are searched or activated or whatever. Like you can always kind of go through and see a log of what's gone on, and the timer is fair. It's kind of a chess timer effectively for Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's something that people always wanted in the physical game. It's just sort of like impractical.
Yeah, managing a chess timer in TCG, impossible. Digital, weird. It's digital. It does it all for you.
To really use for physical card games, but like in Master Duel, it's there. And so I think it allows players to focus fully on the game. You don't have to really worry about like judge calls. You don't have to worry about slow play. You can just play Master Duel. And so those are all reasons why I think that like Master Duel is just...
Honestly, like one of the things I noticed about whenever I play TCG after taking a break and hopping into a format for the new time, it's just so slow. Like, if I'm playing against the deck I've never played against before, like I have, I'm picking up every single card to read it, and obviously you understand that every Yu-Gi-Oh card has like every single has like an essay on it, and then you have to do that for like 7 different cards. Like honestly, you play against the new deck, like you're spending a solid like 10 minutes out of the entire match just straight up just looking at text on a screen. It's like, yeah, that also happens in Master Duel, but the difference is like the timer is set, the timer is standard. And you can't get anything wrong. You can't misunderstand anything. And your opponent can't, like, because you need to make sure your opponent isn't doing anything incorrect, right? Because you're reading their cards. The number of times at locals I've played against someone, they try and do something, not maliciously. They just straight up just don't even understand how their own card worked. And I have to double check the PSET in my mind and think about it. It's like, you don't have to think about that. There was like this weird, like, interaction that came up at locals. And it's like 2 experienced players, me versus this other guy. And we were trying to find out how Fenrir worked versus number 38. And it's like, you just don't need to think about this in Master Duel, right? So he declares an attack with Fenrir. And then it's like, the effect of Harbinger is when an opponent's monster declares an attack, detach a material, change the target to this, and perform damage calc. Fenrir says when this card declares an attack, banish a card face down. So what happens? Do you get to use Harbinger and immediately go to damage calc? Does the Fenrir get to banish? If it does, when does it trigger? What can I activate? Do you know what I mean? All of these different questions, you just instantly are answered within Master Duel, right? And these are all like, this is a lawyer game. You need, like, how are you going to understand and resolve that at a local level? Ask a judge. Guess what? Most locals don't really have judges. For every local that I've been to personally, the judge at the locals is asking the best player at your locals what they think. That's the ruling. That's the official ruling at my locals. It's interrupting Jordan in the middle of his duel and asking him what he thinks the ruling is. For most locals I've been to, that's the general rule of thumb. It's just incomparable to Master Duel. It just does the game for you. Is it Hope Chain Link 2 and you first do damage calc in Fenrir? But I don't even remember what the ruling is. Honestly, anyone here in the comment section who's probably watching this on the highlight channel, Fenrir versus Harbinger. What happens? What's the outcome? Anyone know the ruling? Because it's 50-50 split in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's besides the point.
Which is great. But to be clear,
a lot of XDD shrugs here.
Thinking at this point in the video, gosh, how many more inches of Master Duel can he fit down his throat? Well, there are some really big boons to TCG. I love owning physical cards. I love having like an actual just copy of the decks that I like and the cards that I like. I'm not selling these cards. I'm not ever getting rid of them. I still build new decks to this day. Even from Rage of the Abyss, there's 2 different decks I want to build from that set. I want to build Mermails, and I also want to actually build the Grandpa Exodia deck. Now that they released the Blue Eyes, I just thought that was really cool. So I'm not, saying like, let's swear off of physical Yu-Gi-Oh! And plus, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like a social event, right? Going to locals, if you're able to, is a really fun activity. You meet friends. I've met friends. You'll meet.
This is the only like benefit of TCG for me, is going to a big event. And it's a big event, it's prestigious, it's always going to be more fun gameplay-wise, even all that prep and stuff. But even if you go to a big event, it's very frustrating to put all that time and effort into a big event and then just get floodgated out of like the first 2 rounds or something. But the social aspect is what makes it up. That's like the one thing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has going for it. But it's like, do I really need to spend hundreds of dollars on a deck and go on what is essentially like a weekend trip with friends when we could just do that without the Yu-Gi-Oh! Part? And then we tried this, actually, recently. This summer, my friends all came over to my place and we hung out for the weekend and we didn't actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or need a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event for it. And it was like, wait, hang on. Wait, this is actually fun. Wait, hold on. Wait, we actually don't need a YCS in order to have this social gathering. Ain't no way. And we had a good time. Instead of going out to side events and joining 3v3s, we went and got ice cream. And we sat and talked to each other. Wait, we actually don't need Yu-Gi-Oh! For this. That's crazy.
Meet friends, right? It's like a social activity. You kind of sit face to face,
How?
holding the cards in your hand, playing them on the mat. That is all a sensation that you cannot.
And by the way,
really
just so you know, there's like bad interactions that can happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? So like we big up how good the social interactions are in TCG. There are lots of bad interactions. I'm sure some of you here have had really poor experiences with other people in a social setting in Yu-Gi-Oh! People who like slow play you, people who lie about their cards, or even indirectly, they don't know how their cards work, or they just kind of like stink, or they aren't very nice. And, everyone's had that kind of experience. And it's like, well, for a lot of people, that in itself was a reason to not play Yu-Gi-Oh! It was like the poor in-person experience.
replicate by just sitting at your computer screen and playing. But I do think that for a lot of players,
we've
the
had fistfights
accessibility
at
part
locals.
is going to really play a bigger and bigger role going
What's
forward.
the context for
now,
that?
there's one last really important point I wanted to focus on as far as competitive play goes. Right now, I think that the TCG has a better infrastructure, like the physical paper TCG has a better infrastructure for competitive play than
Adds
Master Duel
chat to
does.
Master Duel,
So,
yes.
like in the TCG, you've obviously got your locals, there's the regionals, there's the YCS events, there's World, and we know pretty well like how they work, right? You gotta go to a regional and you can get an invite to nationals, or you can like top a regional, and so they're very clear kind of like designations for how well you do in an event and what it means for the next levels of events and things like that. Master Duel is a little bit messier. They have the Duelist Cups, which are how you qualify for Worlds. So I guess in that way, it's pretty straightforward. But I do think that Master Duel kind of doesn't just have like a super regularly recurring style of tournament, but they're working on it. So you might have heard about the Challenger Cup events. This is something that Europe's been doing for basically like 2 years now. But the Challenger Cup events are
Has it been that long? 2 years? Almost.
awesome. I've gotten to host a couple of them before, but like the way they work is just like anybody can just enter the events from home. They're free. Like these are free events. You can play them from your house without having to put your shoes
It's crazy to me that they're free, by the way.
on, and they actually have pretty good pricing. Dare I say better pricing than the physical events right now. You can win Steam decks, you can win PlayStation 5s, you can win hoodies like this and the plush rescue rabbits that everybody likes. And like usually they do
Like, the Master Duel Challenger Cup prizes aren't really that much better than TCG, but when you consider the fact that they're completely free to enter, it's kind of goated.
so many of them. Like they'll do them on like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So like if you miss out on the Friday when you play on the Saturday, when you miss out on that, you play on the Sunday, when you can enter multiples. It's very cool that there are so many ways to do that. So I don't know. I feel like that kind of ease of hopping into the competitive scene if you want to is neat. And I think that they could obviously afford to improve that some. It's not perfect, like, you know, the fact that EU gets to have loads
How long
of
does
them
it take
and
to
the US
receive
only
the
got,
prizes?
like, a month
Don't ask that question.
or two's worth of them, and then they just suddenly stop. I don't know what they're planning on doing with that. But yeah, so, you know, that's like a really cool thing. I think that it makes competitive play seem like a more approachable
But you will get it eventually.
avenue to
But don't ask
like,
that
engage
question.
in Yu-Gi-Oh! However, Master Duel is not without its own set of like flaws and stuff. First of all, it's a different format than the TCG. And this is, you know, some people hate Maxi. That's obviously the first thing you got to get that out of the way, so elephant in the room. But also, it just uses a different
Gotta get
ban
that
list
out of the
than TCG.
way.
Because there's not parity between those, and there's not even parity between its ban list and the OCG, it can kind of just make that disparate experience not, I don't know, like it just
I still haven't got my prizes from February. Okay, look, listen, it's in the mail, bro. Just give it a minute.
maybe not doesn't feel as fulfilling. It's like winning in Master Duel. Maybe
Santa's
it's
bringing
a
it this
different
year, okay? Don't
thing
worry, it's
than
coming.
winning in the TCG. Maybe it's like testing a different skill set because the ban lists and just the card pool are always mismatched. Cards take a long time to come into Master Duel. Usually when a card comes out in the TCG, it's not coming to Master Duel for another at least 3 months. Sometimes like as many as about 6, and that's.
Don't we unironically still have like some Dune cards that aren't in Master Duel?
You know, that sort of sucks. Like you're watching your favorite deck get new support in the OCG, and you gotta wait like 3 or 4 months for it to come to TCG.
There's like
And then,
one
3 or
Dune
4
card
more
still
months for it to come
left.
to Master Duel. So I would love to see maybe some parity between those two things. That's probably like the big thing. And then also Master Duel still has like
Kui Belt just came out. It was from
There's the
Agov.
ladder, but once
Oh,
you
they
get
were
to a
saving it
certain
for
point in the
Tenpai,
ladder,
don't
it's
worry.
people kind of playing the same 2-3 decks. They're really good. They're really annoying. There's not like more of a there's a casual mode that people kind of troll. And you don't get rewards for it. I think that the events that they do, like the different festivals, are neat. Sometimes they work out well, sometimes they don't. I think it'd be cool if you could always queue into them, even when they're not like the active event at the time. I think it'd still be fun to kind of offer those alternate formats for people. Maybe a draft mode would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I get that this could have just all come across as like a big, you know, Master Duel deep throat.
A Master Duel Deep Throat is exactly what I'm down for. Give it to me, baby. I will take that Master Duel Coca and glaze it as hard as you need, because I heckin' love Master Duel. I just do want to obviously mention that there's plenty of things that are still to come. Get it? You know, I would like to see some other game modes. I would like to see like a best of 3. I would like to see the card pool updated. I don't like that. I wish it was at least like OCG format, right? I think that would be kind of neat. Because even as a TCG player or semi TCG player at this point, it would be kind of nice because at least like you kind of get like a jump start. Because you're playing Master Duel, you're practicing like OCG format, and then when it comes to TCG, you kind of know what you want to build and what you want to play. Like I think the only bad thing about Master Duel is that it's its own kind of unique, weird format that doesn't comply with OCG or TCG. It's basically TCG with a delay, but with Maxi, which is a bit odd. So that's like my only like current criticism that I think is like, I wish it was at least one of the 4. I wish it was OCG. I wish it was TCG, but I just don't want it to be its own. I think that's just odd, in my opinion.
Here, you must play this game. Konami paid you to say this. No. I think Master Duel is, though, going to probably be paving the way for what the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Looks like. Because it's more accessible at the base level.
Why is that a
I think
weird
that
take?
Competitively, there's
Why is
bit
it a
of an
weird
easier
take
jumping on
to
point
want...
with the Challenger Cups.
Do you understand from a marketing perspective how much better it would be for Master Duel to be reflective of the real-life format? Because then Master Duel funnels the players from Master Duel into their respective region's card game. If Master Duel was an OCG format, people who pick up and learn digitally how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time via Master Duel might think, oh, you know what, I'm having a lot of fun on Master Duel. Let me try this deck in real life. And then they go and try it in real life, and it's like 9 months before the actual product's in Japan. Or they do it in TCG, and it's like, oh, where's this like bug that keeps getting drawn on me? Oh, it's 140 euros, and it's called Full Loss, right? Like, it makes so much more sense. The point of Master Duel isn't dragging people to play on paper, is it's its own thing. Source? Source? What source? What do you... where did you get this from? So you're saying it's a bad thing for Master Duel to create profitability for a business in multiple different departments, not just on the digital side. You think it's actually bad that Master Duel would funnel people into spending money into the TCG. Okay, cool.
I think that at the world stage,
like, by all means, if that's your opinion, sure, but like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it just logically, like, it doesn't follow suit. Master Duel as its own format that can also funnel people into the marketplace of the TCG from a business perspective would be a good thing, business-wise, stocks-wise, money go up line-wise. That's just a fact. Anyone who says otherwise can't be serious.
stage, it's getting more attention and more kind of notoriety than even
It already
physical
does do that?
TCG
Yeah, but
is.
think about how much
This game
more
ain't
it would do
perfect.
that if
I'm
it
not
was a
going to lie
if it
and
was a
pretend that
format
it's
reflective
really even
of the
close to
TCG or
perfect. And half the
OCG.
issues it has just stem from modern.
Didn't the investors meeting touch upon the matter that Master Duel was not converting people into paper as a big thing for them? Yeah, do you guys remember that big thing from like a year ago where they specifically said it would be nice for digital to convert people into paper players as well? Boom, there you go. The money go up people are also saying the same thing. So clearly, business-wise, there is a vested interest in making Master Duel similar to the formats of real-life play. So then you're double dipping on your market. Then you're double dipping on your avenue of your revenue.
Yu-Gi-Oh in general, but I think that Master Duel, like going forward, will probably be a good thing to maybe like.
If it does, it would be good, but it shouldn't be the main point because then it's just an ad. It's not its own game. How are you making that leap? How is it? Why can't it be both? Why can't it be its own game that's fun and interesting, but also an ad for the TCG or OCG? Like it can be both. I just like the people who play Master Duel don't play Master Duel because they like the format more than OCG or TCG. I can promise you that. This is just an assumption. I don't have a source for this, but I assume the biggest pull factor of Master Duel isn't because the format's better. It's because of ease of access. It's because it's digital. It's because it's simpler to get into. It's because of the barrier to entry. I think that's why people play Master Duel. I don't think it's because, oh, TCG format is boring. I actually prefer playing older cards with Maxi. Come on, be realistic.
Like try out. Like if you have always thought, oh, Master Duel is like cool, but it's not for me. It's got Maxi or whatever. Maybe give it a shot, right? Like
I do.
That different card pool, that different format, the ability to kind of focus on the game. There are real benefits to that. And we don't even know what they're planning on doing with Master Duel going forward. I know that they did the celebrity thing with Zayn Malik, which didn't exactly work out, but they're supposed to be doing more of them, so who knows?
I play Master Duel because my friends are smelly.
Anyway, yeah, that's my video on this. Hopefully you guys maybe agree or disagree or feel some type of way about it. You can let me know down below in the comments because as always, I'm going to be reading. I love reading comments on this channel. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe, maybe even become a channel member. That's just a way to support the podcast, but I certainly wouldn't say no, you did. And subscribe. Yeah, cool. All right.
All right, go subscribe to Paul Chat if you haven't already. God, his alt channel almost has a silver play button. That's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, no, good points. I like arguing and making points and talking a lot because I actually got a statue recently for talking a lot. See that purple statue? I got Twitch gave me a trophy for yapping. That's wild. But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry if this came across as a shitting on TCG reaction. That's not what I was trying to do. It's not that TCG is bad. I just want to clarify. I don't think TCG is bad. I just think Master Duel is just so much better. I think it's probably the best way to say it. And again, it's nothing to do with the format. It's nothing to do with the card pool. I just like digital. I just think digital is so much better. Yeah, that's what it is.